Hey there, bonjour, good afternoon. Welcome to Geneva. This car reminds me of my rental car in Cannes, Australia. It got a similar treatment. Ay, ay, ay. This is about the worst I've ever seen. This one too. So, it is a very nice day here, July 13th. Just flew in yesterday from Mykonos, Greece. This is my fourth time to Switzerland. Previously, I was here in 1990 when I was 18, again in 2017, and in 2021, 2 years ago. But I can't say that I have traveled the country extensively. They have all been fairly short trips, and this one will be the same. As I've mentioned already, because of the 90-day limit in the Schengen countries of Europe, I've used up 2 months so far, and I have 1 month left, and so going to try to see as much as I can in that month. So I'll probably be in Switzerland for around a week. I am here in Geneva for just today. I am leaving tomorrow morning, going to the Alps, Zermatt, and the Matterhorn, which reminds me, I have to get a train ticket today, or I could deal with it tomorrow, but better to find out the times today, train or bus. So, here we have Leman. Very, very beautiful looking lake here on the border of Switzerland and France. France is very, very close, just over there. Chamonix, Mont Blanc. So I am just going to do some random wandering around today, not a full-on tour showing all of the sights and history and all that kind of stuff, but I will do my best to give you a good taste of the city as I have a mellow stroll around. I have been here before. I have a Geneva story that is quite funny and cool that I will tell in a minute. It is definitely a beautiful city in a really phenomenal location here on this lake. The lake going out that way, wrapping around. I have to say, it does feel good to be in the mountains. Not, up in the mountains here, but just it has that mountain feel. Lake, cool air, trees, seeing some nice looking mountains there. After a month in Greece, even though I wasn't feeling like I really needed to leave, I was also looking forward to the change of scene, and I am glad to be here and really looking forward to getting further up into the Alps. That is the famous fountain. Okay, let's, I guess, I'm not sure if we can walk all the way across the lake this way or not. Let's find out. So that does not go across the lake. That is a pay booth, 2 Swiss francs, or about $2 US or 2 euros. And then it just goes to a restaurant and a beach, something like that. So I'm going to continue walking this way. Wanted to mention one bit of Genevan history, which is the Geneva Conventions. So the Geneva Conventions were a series of meetings, conventions, political discussions about rules of war in particular relating to prisoners and non-combatants. So it wasn't about what weapons you can use. Those were different negotiations. It was about how to treat prisoners of war and non-combatants, non-soldiers captured or, in general in the war zone, establishing a protocol of how people should be treated in wartime. So, a very important series of negotiations, certainly not an easy one to address, but very important, and they happened here, of course. And it looks like we have some street food. Fish sandwich, ice cream, beer on the lake. The weather is just so perfect right now. It's warm but not very hot. When I checked the forecast for Zermatt, then it is showing rain in the coming days. So we'll see how it goes, but so far, looks great. I'm in Zermatt for 5 days. All right, so my Geneva story. Going way back to 1990. I think, yes, this would have been after Greece. So my first time to Greece was in 1990 as well, on that 4-month backpacking trip through the summer of 1990 when I was 18 years old. After Greece, I got back up into this region of Europe to Austria and then Switzerland. I don't remember hardly anything from Switzerland. I think that I might have basically passed through it on a train and then got off the train here in Geneva, which is where the story begins, except that I need to go back in time in order to provide some context for what happens later. So, 1 year earlier, I was 17 years old, summer of 1989. I had just graduated from high school. I graduated when I was 17 because I skipped 8th grade, and so I graduated a year early. My friend Abram had skipped 7th grade, and so I wanted to skip a grade as well in order to catch up with him, basically. After graduating, then somehow I came across this organization called Outward Bound, and they are an organization that does wilderness backpacking trips, organized groups with instructors. So I came across this and it just sounded really amazing, and I managed to make it happen. I even forget how I paid for it. I really don't remember, but I don't think that my dad just paid for it. Somehow I paid for this. It was a 22-day backpacking trip. I think it was around $1,000, something like that. This was 34 years ago, and they were kind of a, I don't know if they were a non-profit, but it wasn't an expensive trip. So the trip involved 3 weeks of wilderness backpacking in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, near Yosemite National Park, and included rock climbing, and we had 2 instructors. One of the instructors, I believe, was American, and the other one was definitely from England. So I won't get lost on telling the whole story about that whole trip or anything, but just keep that in mind. 1989, backpacking for 3 weeks in the Sierra Nevada mountains with about 20 people or so, something like that. Somebody who doesn't want to be filmed, I guess, and 2 instructors. So now, jump forward to 1990. I am here in Geneva, having just gotten off a train coming from, I think, probably Austria, and I guess that I was heading for Chamonix and Mont Blanc in France. So I get off the train here, and then I figure out that there is a train that goes across the border. It's like a short connecting train. And then from there, I guess that I will have to catch another train going to Chamonix, something like that. It was only like 20 or 30 minutes, something like that. But I was really tired from like the overnight train ride getting here. I think it had been, you know, a long journey from Austria. I guess that I did just kind of skip over Switzerland, but technically, you know, was here. And so I get on this train and I am just nodding off. I just cannot stay awake. And I just fully crash out and fall asleep. And so I wake up and the train is going back to Geneva. I've just fallen asleep through the entire like stop, and then I guess it just goes back and forth, like, you know, waits a few minutes and then comes back, something like this. Now, I'm not certain about this, but I think that it happened again. That I woke up, realized my mistake, just stayed on the train. It turned around, went back into France, and then I fell asleep again and woke up again and it was coming back this way. I'm not 100% on that, but I think so. So I was headed for Mont Blanc, and finally it worked out and I actually got off that train and was in France. I had a tent and sleeping bag, and I stayed at a campground somewhere near Mont Blanc. I set up my tent, go to sleep for the night, wake up in the morning, come out of my tent, standing there, you know, stretching or whatever, looking around, and then out of the tent next to me comes the English instructor from the Outward Bound backpacking course a year earlier. I had had no contact with him, you know, we didn't like keep in touch with the instructors. He was just there on a trip himself with a friend, and so we like did something for the day, went for a hike together, something like that. What are the chances, like so many different ways, that that could have been completely missed, even if we were camped right next to each other, if I had woken up 15 minutes earlier and left a little bit earlier or later or whatever. So that was definitely one of the craziest coincidences I've experienced in my travels. All right, getting into the other side of Geneva. The Geneva English Garden, boat cruises, and a Ferris wheel. Deep in the tourist zone here. Nice looking boat. So Geneva tour, 18 francs, that is about $20 US. 31 for the grand tour, about $34, $35 US. So destination, English Garden, and then Mont Blanc. I'm not quite clear how a boat gets you to Mont Blanc, but somehow it makes sense. Since 1891, the jet d'eau, the water jet, is one of Geneva's most iconic symbols. It reflects the identity, vitality, and international renown of a forward-looking, environmentally friendly city. It was not, however, created as a tourist attraction. 1886. To control the excess pressure of a hydraulic plant at La Calovrinière, a separate outlet was created to release water into the air. The first jet d'eau was born. With its new popularity, the jet d'eau was relocated to the Geneva harbor, so I guess it was then created as a tourist attraction. It owes its white color from the millions of tiny air bubbles that fill the water at its spurt. Just watch for any changes in wind direction, because if it starts blowing this way, you're stuck on this narrow boardwalk getting a shower. Maybe the wind is fairly consistently blowing that way. Pretty cool. All right, let's head over there. That looks like a cathedral, perhaps. Let's find out. I can hear the bells of the cathedral right now. Let's see how long they last. So, I mentioned about the money, the Swiss franc. They don't use the euro here. They use the Swiss franc, which is very close to the euro and the US dollar, but it is stronger, so I forget the exact exchange rate, but 1 Swiss franc is around like $1.20, $1.25, something like that. And I should also mention the language. So the deal with Switzerland is that you have 4 main languages. You could call it 5 since a lot of people speak English, but close to the French border, they speak French. So the language here in Geneva is French. Close to the Italian border, they speak Italian. Close to the German border, they speak German. And then there's also Swiss German, which is quite distinct from German German. Apparently, Germans would have a hard time understanding Swiss German, whereas the Swiss would probably understand German better because they hear it more, see German TV shows, etc. So, the languages of Switzerland: French, Italian, German, Swiss German, and most people speak English. Not sure how this thing's supposed to work. Maybe it senses you. Indian beedi cigarette. I've had them in India. They're really tasty. It's like just a tobacco leaf with a tiny little string on it. So I guess that was it. The bells are done. Okay, what day of the week is it? Seriously, Actually, it's a complete guess on my part. I can't think of a single reference point to try to figure out what day of the week it is. I'm gonna guess Sunday just because there are people nicely dressed outside of the church. Let's check. But this could be for a wedding. Actually, it looks like it is for a wedding. So, I could be wrong. Nice looking group there. All right, so day of the week. Am I going to stick with Sunday? I can't think of anything to tell me what day of the week it is. Anything that happened in like the past week that I knew what day of the week it is. Let's just go with Sunday. It is very quiet. I noticed that as soon as I stepped out of my hostel, I thought it has kind of a Sunday feel. Let's see. So I actually didn't look at my phone because I just realized that I'm wrong. Because just this morning, when I checked the date, July 13th, and I noticed it was the 13th, I was curious if it was Friday the 13th. And I noticed that it wasn't, it was Thursday. So today is Thursday, July 13th. So I am headed over to the train station, which is near my hostel, to buy a ticket for tomorrow. Nice pedestrian zone here. Back to the bridge over Lake Leman. Interesting, a calendar, I guess. Yeah, January, February, March, April. Okay. Today is July 13th, so right in there. Not sure if it's working correctly or not. That is a big bird. And here we are at the train station. Let's see what happens. So, ticket purchased. I used one of the machines there. Here we are. 98 Swiss francs. One way. Geneva to Zermatt. 3 hours, 45 minutes with a change in Lausanne. So, when I went to pay for it, used my credit card, it gave me an option. Pay 98 Swiss francs or pay $118 US. Here we go. The scam, the ATM scam, the credit card machine scam. Always choose local currency. Local currency, local currency, local currency. So I chose Swiss francs, 98, and then I checked on xe.com, and 98 Swiss francs is $113 US. They were offering to charge me 118. So pay $5 extra for nothing, because my bank will do the currency exchange and it will use a more fair rate, maybe not exactly $113, but I can look in my accounts and it'll probably be like $114, something like that. It is now 9 p.m. and I'm looking for some dinner. I was thinking about a pub. Here we have one. Lord Jim. Let's see if they're still serving food. Okay, they don't have much of a menu. Let's keep cruising here. Lots of Italian places. Pizzas and cocktails. And lots of, excuse me. Excusez-moi. And lots of Middle Eastern restaurants and Indian. Okay, there's James Pub. I'd seen this earlier. Let's take a look. This is a karaoke bar, so I think that's not quite what I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. Let's see what they have. Ravioli, brochettes, soup, some kind of a beef dish, and then something Asian, pad thai, curry penang. Okay, so Thai food, interesting. But yeah, I think I'll keep on exploring around. There you can see Indian, Thai